Hey there, AJ Casada here, co-founder of Revenue Boost, where we help agencies and B2B companies get leads, get clients, and grow using cold email. And today I wanted to make a complete walkthrough on the best practices for email deliverability. Specifically, we're talking about cold email deliverability, but the same principles apply even if you have a list or a newsletter or whatever, even if you manage this on behalf of your clients, right? So this has become such a hot topic recently. It's become so all over my LinkedIn feed and everywhere over the last few months. We've taken a lot of time to beef up our processes. So I wanted to just really walk through our updated list on how to make sure that you're getting good email deliverability, you're avoiding spam filters, and also how to fix issues as they arrive. Because this stuff is a real black box, as in it's just a mystery. You peel the onion one layer forward and you find another layer of the onion, right? And it just keeps going and going and going. Once you start looking into it, it's easy just to get lost in all the different possible reasons your campaigns could be landing in spam. And yeah, it just feels like a black box, right? And it's a real pain in the ass if you don't know anything about it, right? Because you're kind of just guessing why you aren't getting leads and results from your campaign. So I'm going to demystify it for you today. Overall, in 2024, email deliverability and landing in the primary inbox has gotten way harder. There's been around three major updates with Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook over the last year that have just each one has made it harder to land in the inbox, right? So these platforms are all cracking down on mass email marketing. They're improving their algorithms every day with super smart engineers. Fortunately, we have a lot of super smart marketers on the other side of things fighting the battle and creating new tools that beat the spam algorithms, right? But these platforms have some great people working for them, and they're also now leveraging AI to get even better at it, right? And this is all for a good reason. I mean, I've seen that over 40% of all email traffic is spam or phishing or some kind of scams, right? So these platforms have to crack down on mass email because most people are bad actors and they're using it to legitimately scam people, right? Unfortunately, us as good-hearted marketers and agency owners, we get caught in the overlap, right? We get caught in their spam filters as well, even if we're using email for a positive reason to promote our business and provide products and services that actually help people, right? So that's why they're so strict on it, because they want to keep their customers' inboxes clean, right? So your emails might be landing in spam without you even knowing. That's the tough part, right? And if it is, that's what I'm going to help you with today. And this is crucial because if you're not landing in the primary inbox, if you're not having good email deliverability, it doesn't matter how good your offer or copy is, you'll get ignored. Think about it. When was the last time you just woke up and just checked your spam box? Never, right? You could be offering people $1 million for free, right? You could be offering them a cure to some terminal disease. It doesn't matter how good your offer is, right? If it lands in spam, they never even see it, right? But the good news is there's an opportunity to this, and this is a good thing and actually a potential advantage. Because for me, as a cold email agency and consultancy that helps clients build cold email campaigns that get them meetings, get them clients, every one of these Gmail updates was a big pain in the behind for me, right? Because I would just get frustrated about it, damn it, this is making my job harder. This is making it harder for us to get our clients results. And then we'd have to spend all this time reading the new, extremely long, boring Gmail updates, which are easily could have been one page, but they just make it super long, right? We'd have to spend all this time talking to experts and understanding, how we need to beef up our processes, right? So it's a big pain in the butt, right? But I started to look at it recently as a more positive thing, right? Because it is a positive thing. I realized that any time in business when something gets harder, that's an opportunity for you to stand out and take advantage of that and leverage that for your own best interest, right? So what I mean is okay, so let's take another example. Let's talk about when the iOS 14 changes happened with Facebook ads a couple years ago, right? A couple years ago, there's a huge tracking update for Facebook ads, and a lot of people had a much harder time getting results with their Facebook ads and profitability, right? This was I could be wrong, but I think it was maybe 2019 or so. Anyways, a few years back, there was this huge conversation around it, and a lot of people were having a harder time getting results with Facebook ads. But for an agency or a Facebook ad marketer that was able to navigate those new iOS tracking changes and was still able to get better results, now they're more valuable. Now they can get paid more for their expertise because now more people have the problem and they have the unique skill set to solve it, right? So whenever there's problems, there's opportunities, right? And no matter what you're doing, if you're working in some aspect of tech or digital marketing or any kind of online business really, right, which is most of you listening to this podcast and our YouTube channel, you're always going to be subject to these changes, right? So this is really important to understand because, like I said, I used to always get frustrated when something changed with tech and it made my job harder, right? But now I just realized it's an opportunity, right? If you see all these industry changes that happen, if you see the platform changes as opportunities, right? Like think about it, like organic reach went down, right? I know people that have Facebook pages that used to get tons and tons of customers and sales and like views and all that for them, right? People that, have Facebook pages as a business by themselves, right? But then Facebook page reach got a lot harder, right? I have a friend of mine who works as a social media manager for a food blog, and they have like millions of followers to their Facebook page, but now they get like half the reach they used to, and they had to like let people go, right? Their business had to shrink because of that. And that's just because something changed with the industry and organic reach went down because Facebook wanted more people to pay for ads, right? But the point is, there's always going to be these problems, but there's always opportunities, because let's say you're a social media agency that's still able to get great results despite organic reach going down. Now you're going to have more customers. Now there's going to be more people looking for you, right? So the same thing applies to cold email here. Yes, it's gotten harder to land in the inbox, and this is making it harder to, get campaigns producing amazing results. It's just one more barrier, but it's one thing where if you get good at it, you'll just be ahead of everyone. And this is the other thing too. If less people are landing in the primary inbox and more people are landing in spam, well, that means that if you can successfully make it to the primary inbox, you're having less competition, right? There's less people reading emails similar to yours, right? There's like your email stands out more because there's fewer of them in the prospect's inbox, right? So this is a really good thing. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get into the steps. So I'm going to cover the initial setup, the warm-up, campaign best practices, email content best practices, how to monitor your deliverability, and also how to fix them. And I'm just going to talk through these and just give you the steps. We also have SOPs for this. We freely share them. So if you want our SOPs for cold email deliverability, you can just, if you're hearing this on YouTube, comment below. If you're listening on the podcast, you can just email me. But I'm happy to share our SOP. Just let me know if you want the nitty-gritty and the document with the details. But anyways, initial setup is with cold email, you want to get burner domains. What that means is get similar domains. You never want to email people from your regular domain, right? So if my domain is revenueboost.net, I don't want to email people from my regular email, because if I get marked as spam, that's going to hurt my regular domain reputation, right? So what you want to do is you get similar domains. You can get, in my case, it would be revenue-boost.net or revenueboost.ai, or just domains that are similar to your domain and they don't matter, right? That way, point is you get domains that you don't care about. So if you do get marked as spam or have deliverability issues, it's not affecting your day-to-day email that you're talking to clients with, right? And then you want to set up forwarding so that if someone actually Googles or they search this like fake domain, it redirects them to your main website and the traffic goes there, right? So that way it doesn't look sketchy if someone searches it and there's no website found, right? You wouldn't believe how many times you're getting cold email and you Google their website and it's not found, right? It looks super shady. So fix that. Easy to do in GoDaddy, just takes a minute. And the point is, when you want to scale your cold email volume and start getting more leads and appointments, like I have one client where they're getting around 5 to 10 appointments a day. So what is that? 25 to 50 appointments a week only from cold email. They're not spending a single dollar on ads, right? And they're sending like 2,000 to 3,000 emails a day. But the way that you scale the email volume to get more leads is you scale by getting more domains and emails. So that's why we call it horizontal scaling, right? Rather than trying to send more emails per day from one email inbox, you just get more email inboxes and you keep sending only a few per day. We don't recommend sending more than 30 emails per inbox per day. So if you want to send 1,000 emails a day, you just do the math. Okay, 1,000 divided by 30, that's what, 33 inboxes, right? I think so. But yeah, you just do the math and work backwards. So that way, because if you send a lot of emails from one email domain, especially if it's a pretty new one, that's going to look suspicious to Google, and that's again the behavior of what an actual spammer might do, right? So all of Gmail's algorithms, and same with Outlook, Yahoo, they're all built around like what are the behaviors of spammers. So you have to think like, someone who's a spammer, what behaviors would they take and how can I not do that? Because if you take the same behaviors, then their algorithm will catch you, right? So again, a spammer might get a new email and try to send hundreds of thousands of emails in the first month. So if you do the same thing, you're going to be grouped in that same bucket, even though you're not them, right? So send very few emails per day per email inbox and just buy more email inboxes when you want to increase the volume. Next is set up DNS records, DKIM, DMARC, SPF. These are, it's funny, we need like a dictionary for marketing, right? There's so many like terms and acronyms when it comes to digital marketing, but These are essentially ways that when you get a new email account, you set up some DNS records so that it authenticates you and it shows the ESPs that you're a legit sender, right? So again, we have an SOP on that, on how to set these up, but also there's even services that just do this for you where you can get a new email and it'll set up these records for you and authenticate you. So that's really important. If you don't have that, it's going to be a huge problem. And they're easy to set up. If you're using instantly.ai, which is our go-to cold email tool, there's also a link down below if you want to sign up for it. They actually have a done for you service where you can just buy an email account directly from them and it'll automatically set up the records for you. So better to do that than to do it yourself. And then also when you get your inboxes, add a profile photo, because if you email someone and you have a profile picture, you just look that much more legitimate rather than like some bot, right? So that helps. And also get a mix of Gmail and Outlook domains. If your clients are like larger businesses, big corporates, you want to have more Outlook. If they're smaller businesses, you want to have more Gmail because most small businesses use G Suite. The reason for this is you want to be able to send Gmail to Gmail, Outlook to Outlook, right? So if an Outlook email account receives an email from an Outlook email account, it's much more likely to accept it and see it as legitimate, right? Because it's two systems that work together, right? Same with Gmail. And most cold email tools, like Instantly, the one we use, it has a provider matcher feature where it can detect, if you connect like 30 domains to it, half of them are Gmail, half of them are Outlook, it's going to detect what the platform is of the recipient and then match them up, which is pretty cool. So that's just another little thing that helps your deliverability. So get a mix of both. Okay, so that's the most important things around the initial setup. And today, there's always more to the mix here, but today this is the 80-20, right? I'm just trying to give you the 20% that matters the most to get you 80% of the results with your deliverability, because again, it's a black box. You can Google it online, you can find more tips and tricks, but this is what I found to be the most useful and impactful without you wanting to, just put your head in a bag of sand and cry, right? Because again, you can look it up and there's so much more to it and it could just make you overwhelmed or you don't even want to start, right? So I'm just going to be giving you just the most important things that'll, again, give you the majority of the results. The rest don't really matter that much, but if you want to geek out on it, you can feel free to set these up first and then go Google more stuff later. But yeah, this is really the far majority. This is really all me and my team are looking at and creating SOPs around. So with that in mind, going on to the warm-up. So warm-up is basically where you have your email simulate regular email sender behavior. So if you get a new email account, Gmail sees that as suspicious, right? It's a new email account, so it's not really, doesn't have a high reputation. So what email warm-up is there are these networks where you can connect your email to a tool and it's going to send fake emails back and forth to other email accounts and they're going to reply to each other, have conversations, save emails from spam, mark them as important, and it's going to simulate to Gmail that your email is a legitimate inbox. It's a real person, right? So it's gonna mimic human behavior, and that's gonna make a new email account start to look like a legitimate person, right? So really, really important you do that. Again, we also use instantly.ai for this. And what you want to do is after you get your email inboxes, connect them to a tool for a minimum of 2 weeks before sending any campaigns, right? So don't get a new email account and then start prospecting right away. Let it warm up for a minimum of 2 weeks and then start sending emails. Also, there's also more advanced and costly services like Folderly, which is just kind of a more premium warm-up tool that costs extra but does a little bit of a better job as well. And you always want to keep warm-up on and turn it off and never turn it off. Some people, they'll just warm up an email for 2 weeks, then turn it off and then start sending campaign emails. But you want to always keep it running. Always keep warm-up on because it's going to, again, always keep sending positive signals to Gmail and Outlook that you are a legitimate sender, right? And if you get some spam complaints, if you get some people that mark you as spam, well, it'll essentially be diluted because most of your emails will be going through this warm-up process where it simulates real behavior, right? So that's the basics, the 80-20 of warm-up. Next is campaign best practices. When you launch your first cold email campaign, and by the way, guys, just so you know, this is meant, if you're a complete beginner to cold email deliverability, this is meant to be everything you need to get started. So you could just follow what's in this video here and podcast and get started. But also if you're a experienced cold emailer or experienced email marketer, there's still some extra things you're going to pick up here. So yeah, just wanted to be clear, this is for both sides of the spectrum. I try to make it detailed enough for both without being overwhelming. But next is when you're launching a campaign, slowly increase the volume. So when we take on a new cold email done for you client and we manage their outbound campaigns for them, we'll start off sending only 5 emails a day, 10 emails a day per email inbox, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the max is 30. We recommend sending no more than 30 emails a day per email inbox. but you don't start at 30, because then again, that's another thing that could look alarming to Google, right? Because if you have very erratic changes in volume, that's also another thing that, could look suspicious to Google, right? Especially with a new account, you want to just slowly but surely get there. So our process is we start a new email account at 5 or 10 a day. Each week we increase it further, as long as we're not seeing any deliverability problems. And we'll talk about monitoring in a bit too. Next is turn open tracking off. So this was an update like a month and a half ago. Gmail made it so that if you are tracking open rates, which most email marketing tools allow you to do, it's actually going to look like spam to the other person, right? So if you track open rates, the other person gets a big banner when they receive your email, and it says, hey, this person has hidden images, and then there's a big button where the person could mark you as spam. And you don't want that, because basically it's making it really, really easy for someone to mark you as spam. So now we turn open rate tracking off on all of our campaigns. We leave it on for the first day of a new campaign to make sure things are getting delivered properly, but then we turn it off, because the one thing that can impact your deliverability more than anything is how many actual people are marking your email as spam, right? That's going to have a huge impact. Google's threshold is 0.3%, which means that if more than 1 in every 300 people marks your email as spam, then you're going to be on their shit list, right? So that's not even a lot, right? So this makes it really easy for people to mark you as spam, so you don't want to be tracking open rates. Next is you want to validate all of your emails. If you're getting emails from a database like Apollo.io, or let's say you bought a list, which I normally don't recommend either, they're going to say that it's validated emails, but usually it's not, right? So like we frequently will take a list of Apollo emails, meaning we'll build a list of our target companies in Apollo, we'll download their emails, and then we'll plug them into a validation tool like Find Email or NeverBounce, and then we'll find out that 30% of the emails are junk, they're garbage, they're outdated, right? Because usually around a third of the population changes their email every year, right? People change jobs, businesses go out of business, right? And you don't want to send emails to invalid emails, because that's going to reflect back on your domain IP reputation. So simple as this: when you have an email list, upload it to a tool like NeverBounce, and it's going to just detect which emails are bad and get rid of them for you. So really, really simple, and make sure that you do not skip that step. So even for our warm email, even for our email newsletter and our list, right? When we get people that opt in for something, before we add them to our email list, we'll have an automation that through Zapier plugs them into NeverBounce, validates them, and then only puts valid emails into our list in Go High Level. So yeah, really, really important. Always validate your emails. Next is email content best practices. So only send plain text. Avoid bold, avoid italics, avoid colors. Again, these are things that spammers would do, right? So avoid that. Also avoid links, images, and videos. Now look, there's a caveat. Not everything is black and white, right? Because let's say that you're sending a link to something and it actually helps your reply rate, right? Like let's say you created something for someone, like some sort of lead magnet, and you send them a link. And maybe the fact that you send them that link, it actually helps your campaigns because more people reply and they're interested. In that case, it could actually help your deliverability, right? Or let's say you found an issue on their website and you send them an image of that, right? That could help, right? Because if including a link or an image helps your campaigns get more replies, then it's kind of maybe worth the trade-off of knowing that it does hurt your deliverability a little bit, right? So not everything's black and white. You have to consider all of it. If you do have one link or an image in an email, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially if it's a Google link. So if you're sending a link to a YouTube video or a Google Doc, that's good because Google recognizes that it's their platform. So that's better than like an external link. But generally, unless you're sure it's going to help your campaigns, just send basic, boring, plain text. Avoid links, images, videos because that gets caught by spam filters. Also avoid spam words. There's a list of words that spammers are likely to use, things like $signs, the word guarantee, the word discounts. So you want to avoid using those words. It's easy though. You can just go to Google and type in spam word checker. You can plug in your email template into a free checker and it will tell you which words are on the list of spam words. So easy to do, but make sure you check that and take out the spam words. Also, you can use spin tags. Spin tags is basically a way where you can randomize words in your email. So you can upload your email template, and there's free spin tags checker tools. You can Google it as well. Basically, you can upload your emails to a free spin tags adding tool. Even instantly, there's one inside of it as well. And it'll basically randomize certain words, right? So it'll take a word like hello, and then it'll replace it with hello, hi, hey there, a few variations. So basically, it adds code into your email templates so that each word or each phrase has a few different combinations, and then it basically creates like a million combinations of your email template. Why that matters? It's because if you send the same exact email template thousands or tens of thousands of times, that's another thing that could possibly get caught by Gmail's spam filter, right? Because they're looking for, okay, how many times is the person sending the same thing? Maybe it's spam, right? So you use syntax where you can send the same email template, but just slightly change some words, and it makes your emails look more unique. So the more unique content you have, the better. This is also why AI and personalization helps, because if you personalize each email to the prospect, then that's going to make each email unique, and you'll kind of fly more under the radar. Our last episode or podcast, I was sharing a bunch of ideas on how we use Clay in our AI outbound campaigns, and that's a good tool to get started, so you can check out that video as well. But yeah, use syntax, very important. Also, don't be overly salesy or aggressive. I mean, the biggest thing that's going to hurt you is if people are marking your message as spam. So if you're overly salesy, overly promotional, overly aggressive, that's going to get people to mark you as spam, right? So in our emails, we don't try to sell too much. We might have one line with the value proposition, but it's more talking about the prospect and how we can help them and what we notice about their business. So the more you talk about the prospect rather than just shout off features and benefits about your business, the more likely it's going to look relevant and helpful rather than salesy and promotional, right? So the more salesy and promotional you look, the more that someone might mark you as spam. Also, don't be pushing the follow-up. We send follow-ups. We usually limit it at 4. If you send more than 4 follow-ups, you're really running the risk of someone just getting annoyed and marking you as spam. So I do recommend sending a few follow-ups, but keep them spaced a few days out and don't go more than 4. And also just make sure you send a relevant offer to the right person, right? If you, I get a bunch of emails, a bunch of cold emails where the offer that the person's giving me has nothing to do with my business, and that's usually kind of frustrating because it's like, why did you email me this, right? And it just kind of seems like spam. So this is where you really want to spend time building the right prospect lists and making sure you're segmenting your list properly and sending the right offer to the right people. Because if you genuinely send someone an offer and mention something that can truly help them and is truly fit for their business, and it shows that you understand them, then they're very unlikely to mark you as spam because they feel like, okay, this person actually researched me and they took the time to share something of value, right? Where you get marked as spam is when you're emailing a prospect that has no business being on your list and they have no benefit from your offer, right? So yeah, that's really important. That's important in general, just for getting great performance and great replies, is just really build a tight list and send the right offer to the right person, right? So next is your CTA should be to reply. Again, I don't recommend sending links. So in all of our cold emails, rather than saying, hey, here's my calendar link, we say, hey, do you want more info? Hey, do you want to chat? And then people reply. And this does a few things, right? First of all, it prevents you from having to give a link. Second of all, you get a lot more replies. And the more people that engage with your emails, the better that looks to Gmail, right? It makes you look more like a real person, right? Because if you send out 10,000 emails and nobody replies, that looks shady, right? So when you have your call to action be a reply, then you're just getting a lot more engagement, and that just makes you look more like, again, a regular person doing business, right? So CTAs, always replies. Also, it makes your email look more human. When you just send someone out of the blue a link, it just looks a little bit impersonal. So when we end our emails with a question asking them for a reply, it just makes it feel more human and more natural too, like it's a real person, right? Also, you need to have an opt-out. This could be an unsubscribe link, or it could just be a sentence in your signature that says, hey, just, tell me no if you don't want to hear from me again. So you need to have a way for people to opt out, because if someone doesn't want to receive your emails and they can't opt out, guess what they're going to do? Mark you as spam, right? I do this, right? Like, we all do this. Like, if I'm getting an email from someone and I don't want to receive their emails and there's no way I can opt out, there's no unsubscribe link or whatever, my only option is to mark them as spam and block them, right? Which is going to hurt their deliverability, right? So make it easier for people to opt out. I've seen some email newsletters where they make it so hard to unsubscribe. It's like buried. It's like super tiny. And that's ridiculous, right? Because you don't want it to be super tiny, because if someone wants to get off your list, let them get off your list, right? Because if they can't find an easy way to opt out, they're still going to opt out. They're just going to do it in a way that screws you over. They're going to mark you as spam, right? So make it easy, visible, big, bold of how people can get off your list. And Gmail's one of Gmail's latest updates this year in 2024 made it mandatory to have a one-click or easy way to opt out, right? Like, I've definitely been on email lists before where I try to opt out and then they try to maybe go through hoops and answer like 10 questions to opt out, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so annoying, right? It's similar to like if you try to unsubscribe from a software tool like a SaaS, and they make you go through all these hoops so that hopefully you just get tired and throw your hands up in despair and then just forget about it. Like same thing with email, right? People do that as well. Don't do that. Make it easier for people to opt out, because otherwise they're just going to mark you as spam. Okay, next is monitoring. So those are the best practices for setting up campaigns, warm up, setup, in email content. How do you monitor? How do you know if you're having problems, right? It used to be open rate tracking, but now we can't use that anymore. So we used to be able to just say, hey, if our open rate's gone down a lot, it's probably because we're not landing in the inbox. But now that we turned off open rates, we can't use that anymore. You can use reply rate as a surface level indicator. So if I'm seeing that my reply rate, and again, all cold email tools or email newsletter tools, like we use instantly tells you this, all tools typically do. If you see that your reply rate just went down significantly in a week's time and nothing else changed, like if you were sending it to the same list and you had the same copy and then you just saw your reply rate go down a lot, you can be pretty sure that, okay, I didn't change anything, so I'm probably just having deliverability issues, right? Unless there's like something else happening, like it's a holiday or whatever. But assuming there's no external factors, you can be pretty sure it's a deliverability issue. So we use that as a surface level indicator. And if we see a drop, then we look deeper into it by doing these things. First, we check the bounce rate, how many emails are bouncing. Anything above 5% is usually an issue. And then we use tools to check the domain inbox health further, right? So Postmasters is a free tool by Google that'll tell you your spam rate. It'll tell you how many people have actually marked your emails as spam. Mail Tester, another good free tool. And then there's a pay tool as well. So as an agency, we pay for some tools to, just do this a little bit more thoroughly because we're doing this as a service. So GlockEps is a good one. It'll give you the whole picture of your email and domain's health and tell you if there's problems. Now, in terms of how to fix it, if you can identify a specific issue that caused your email deliverability to drop, then you can fix that. So if you determine that you're having an issue with spam rate, meaning people are marking you as spam, then you might want to rethink your copy and your list, right? Because you have to ask, why are people seeing this and marking it as spam? Why are they not liking this message, right? If you have a super high bounce rate, it might be the data source. Maybe you bought a list that was crappy, right? Maybe you forgot to validate your emails with never bounce, whatever it is, right? So if you can just look at some of those metrics and see, like, if you can identify the cause, then fix that. But sometimes you can't find an apparent cause, and if that's the case and you just notice that your deliverability has dropped and you're getting less leads, we have a two-step process. First, whatever the problem domains are, whatever domains we're seeing issues with when we run our tests, we pause them from email campaigns, so we stop sending emails, right? And then we just let them sit in a timeout. They go in a warm-up for 1 or 2 weeks only. So we'll stop prospecting from those domains and we'll just let them only go through that warm-up process where it's like simulating human behavior. And then we'll re-put them in the campaigns and then see if it's fixed. And often that does fix it, right? And many times for our clients as well, we've done this. We've just kind of taken those emails on a timeout and it improves their reputation. If that doesn't work, then the domain is pretty much cooked and you just got to replace it, right? It's really easy to get new emails and domains. Now as an agency, what we're starting to do is just buy extra domains and emails that we have as backups, like always running. That way, if an email or domain gets cooked, we can just replace it quickly and not have any downtime, right? So that's what I recommend for you as well. But yeah, I mean, like, it's if you add some warm up into the email, if you change your copy and you're still having issues, you might just be on Gmail or Outlook's shed list, right? So sometimes it's just hard to fix it and hard to come back from having a poor domain and IP reputation, and you don't need to try to fix it. Like, just replace them. It costs an hour of your time to set up a new email account or less. It takes a minute if you're just doing like a done-for-you email setup provider. So being that it's so easy just to get new emails and domains and warm them up, then your best bet is just replace them, right? So that's our two-step process. We just try to go on a warm-up only first, and if that doesn't work, then we just replace them. So that's pretty much it. I hope this was useful for you. If you want this document and if you want our internal SOP on deliverability, just let me know. If you're on the podcast, you can email me. If you're watching on YouTube, you can comment below. I'll get it over to you. And I mean, this is pretty thorough. Like, this is really all you need to do. If you just follow what I shared today, you'll be golden. It's really as simple as that. You don't need to pay any expensive consultants to analyze your campaigns. Just do these things here and you'll be good to go. And as you can see, there's a lot involved with getting great email deliverability. If you would like to have a professional agency handle your email campaigns and get leads for you so that you don't have to worry about any of this stuff, just let me know. This is what we do at Revenue Boost. We get great results for our clients. we can hop on a call and look at your current campaigns, or if you're doing this from scratch, we can show you how we can just do the whole thing for you, so you don't have to worry about anything like deliverability. So yeah, happy to do this for you if you want to have a chat about it. We do this as a service, and if you're just having deliverability problems, but you want some other tips, then feel free to reach out, and always happy to take a look at what you're doing and share some advice. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found some value, and see you on the next one.